down to PMC, tech tips with Tim. Everything you need to know, just ask him. He knows proportioners, guns, hoses, and whips. For anything about phone spray, Tim's got the tips.
Hi everyone, I'm Tim Newmeyer, Tech Service Manager with PMC. Today we're going to go over the pump removal and rebuild of the pumps that are on our classic machine. Okay, here's some of the tools that we're going to use. All right, we have a pair of snap ring pliers, greased, red Loctite, punches. We have a magnet here. These two parts are in the rebuild kits, sockets, specialized tools for the pump rebuild. Okay, we have some of our larger adjustable wrenches, a small hammer, a larger rubber mallet hammer. Okay, and we're also going to be using torque wrenches in order to torque the parts down that are going to be required to have a torque tightness on them. Here's the repair kits that we're going to use. It's a KT-07000. We're going to be rebuilding the size 120A and B pumps. This is the A, okay? This is KT-07000. The B, KT-07001 for the B/R side. Also, part kit number 202-355. This is the pump base repair kit. And this is the manual that will come with these parts. Okay, here's our classic pump. We have our A pump and our B pump. You want to make sure is that the power to the machine is off and that the system is completely depressurized before we go about removing the pump and doing the pump rebuild. When we're getting ready to remove this pump, we want to make sure that we have caps and plugs, 3/4 inch cap and plug, and you're going to remove the inlet assembly that's going to be on the bottom of this pump. You want to cap and plug both of those, this swivel fitting and the male that's on the inlet. When we're doing this work, you want to make sure that you have rags and you have proper PPE, you have your gloves on and all like that. Okay, and then we're going to now we're going to remove this outlet hose from the top part of the pump. Going to use 11/16 wrench. Okay, and we're going to loosen that. Now, mind you, I'm working with pumps that do not have chemical in them. Okay, but when we go to loosen this, you want to make sure you have a cap and a plug to go onto this hose and this fitting. And we're going to take that off. A lot of times when you're taking these hoses off of a JIC fitting, it's good to just kind of wiggle the hose a little bit, and the fitting and the hose will come off. Plug and cap. So in order to remove this pump, we have to make sure that the pump is in the retract position. Okay, it's all the way to the left-hand side. And the reason for that is we have to be able to access the clevis pin that's inside here. That is the same clevis pin that's over here. On the B side, it's not a problem. You can access it directly. On the A side, the clevis is inside of the pump loop cylinder, and we have to remove this red plug in order to use the tool to pull the pin. Okay, so in order to remove the pump, and we need to drain this pump loop cylinder of the pump lube that's inside of here. So you need to get yourself a container of some kind to collect the fluid. Okay, so we're gonna loosen this fitting up, and I did that by hand for the video. We're gonna loosen that fitting up, and we're gonna pull this hose off of here. Now, mind you, fluid's gonna come pouring out of here, so have something available. Okay, to remove the clevis pin, after we've drained the pump lube from the cylinder, we would remove this cap or plug. Okay, and then we're going to use this clevis pin removal tool. This comes with the machine, but if you do not have this tool, the part number is TL-01. You want to use this tool. You do not want to go in there with a pair of pliers and try to pull that out, or you're going to wind up breaking the clevis pin. So you would screw that clevis pin removal tool on there. Okay, do not try to pull that pin out yet. I'm going to go over a procedure in order to loosen the pump in order to effectively and safely pull this pin out without breaking it. Okay, so now we're going to go and we're going to start to remove the pump. What you want to use is a flat-ended 1/4-inch Allen extension wrench that's going to be onto a ratchet, okay? We want to use a flat Allen because if you use the ball end type and put it into the bolt to remove it, sometimes when you go to remove it, if that end of that ball end of this Allen breaks off in this bolt, you got a problem. So use that flat 1/4-inch Allen and just break those loose. And you're going to do that to all four. You can do that to all four of the bolts that hold the pump on. So now we have all four of the mounting bolts are now loose, which gives the pump a bit of play, which will make it much easier now to pull this clevis pin. So we're going to remove the clevis pin. Okay, the pump is loose. We're going to jimmy lug the pump and we pull the pin out. Now sometimes it may be the clip that's on the pin may get stuck with the pump lube cylinder, but you can move that pump lube cylinder because the pump's now loose. So you can move that around a little bit. Mind you, there could be some residual material in here, but you pull that and that pin comes out.
And action.
So now we have the pin pulled. We can go about complete the removal of the pump from the pump line by taking the four mounting bolts off, the ones that we loosened before. You can now use the 1/4-inch ball end Allen wrench to remove that. So we have the bolts just about removed here. So remember that this pump's got some weight to it. Okay, so we're gonna make sure that these bolts are all out. And we're going to remove the pump from the pump line. Okay, so we're going to access the pump here for the first time, and we're going to do that by going into the pump base. And we're going to remove this top nut. What you're going to need to do, you're going to need to have like a big 18-inch adjustable or an 1 7/8 socket will fit on here. You might have to, now this pump has been on the machine for a number of years. This nut may take a little bit of oomph to get off. So when you put the wrench on or your socket, you might have to give it a little bit of a, knock with a, something to try to loosen it up. And or to put a little bit of heat. Use like a heat gun, and you don't want to put a flame to this. Use like a heat gun to give it a little bit of heat to knock it loose, and it should come loose. Okay, I've never not been able to take one of these nuts off. Okay, so we have this top nut loose, right? So we're gonna take that off, like so. Okay, we're going to take our magnet and we're going to go in and we're going to remove that small discharge ball check. Okay, set that to the side. Now we're going to get our Allen J-hook sleeve removal tool and we're going to put it down between that seat, okay? And then we're going to pull that sleeve out. So now we're going to remove the pump inlet sleeve. Like I said, we're going to use that J-hook. We're going to go through the discharge ball seat. Okay, we're going to grab the underside of it. And sometimes this comes right out and sometimes it doesn't. So we're going to pull up on that sleeve and the sleeve comes out. Okay, one thing to keep in mind is that there's fluid in here. and you have to be aware of that. Okay, there's going to be residual material in there, so you can get a turkey baster and go in to suck some of that stuff out. But like I said before, make sure you have proper gloves on when you're working with chemical. And action. So we have the sleeve out, so now we have to remove the spring that's also inside. Okay, take that aside, clean that up. Now we're going to get our magnet again, and we're going to remove the large inlet ball seat check that is at the bottom of the pump. This is your inlet ball check, okay? You're going to take that out and clean it. So we're going to now remove the inlet ball seat, okay? This hex tool comes in the comes with the pump base repair kit. What I like to do is put a couple wraps of some electrical tape towards the bottom of it. It helps when you're removing that seat to help grab it a little bit better. You don't have to, but it's just what I do. So I put that in. Okay. Line that up. Okay. Again, it's the same with some of these other parts within the pump. They've been on the pump for years, so it might be a little bit of a chore to break some of these parts loose. But again, you could put a little bit of heat down in there with a heat gun if this doesn't break loose. But using the larger wrench, okay, you can turn that, and that seat will unscrew. Okay, and then we're going to pull that seat up. And that's your inlet ball seat. The larger 1-inch ball sits in that ball seat like so. Okay, so there's a seal that sits underneath of that inlet ball seat. You don't necessarily have to change that every time that you're doing a pump rebuild. If it's in good shape and there's not a lot of material that's built up on it, it shouldn't be a problem. But if you have to remove that, what you do not want to do is to go in there with a pick and try to pull that seal out. You're going to wind up scratching the inside of the block, and you're going to have a problem. So what I do is that I'll take a long, thin, flat screwdriver, and what I do is I go down onto the seat at every quarter at a 12, 3, 6, and 9 o'clock position, and I tap that screwdriver to break that seal into 4 pieces, and it makes it a lot easier to remove it. Okay, you don't want to put a pick in there. So that's how you remove that seal. All right, we showed before about removing the inlet seat assembly from the bottom of the pump base. Now I'm going to show to remove the discharge seat. Right, so we had that discharge ball check that we took out earlier. Okay, so I'm going to show how to remove that seat. So you're going to put it into a vise and have jaw protectors here. All right, so you're gonna tighten down on that part. What I like to do is turn it to the side to where it's lined up with the open parts of the sleeve. Tighten it down. Okay, again, this part's been in here for a long time. You might have to kiss it with a little bit of heat here, but you're going to use this tool and use this edge of this seat removal tool, and you're going to put it into the slot. Okay, and you're going to use adjustable wrench, 12 or 14-inch adjustable wrench. Shouldn't need anything bigger than that. And you're gonna loosen that seat. Okay, you're gonna loosen that seat up. Like so. And one thing you're going to notice as well is that we're also going to have a seat seal that is inside of the pump, okay? The same seal, okay, the seal that's in here has the same purpose as the seal we just showed before that's at the bottom of the inlet sheet assembly, okay? You don't always have to replace that, but again, you don't want to really go in there with a pick or anything, but they normally come right out. Okay, so now we're going to remove, we're going to take the nuts that hold the whole pump body assembly together through the standoff bolts. Okay, so we're going to use a 9/16 socket. I have the pump in the vise. There's a lot of times, that you can you can have this pump on the bench, but sometimes, again, the pump's been on there a while. These nuts may take a little bit to get off. So I always, I put the pump into a vise, okay? So now we'll break these loose. Okay, we're going to break all of these nuts loose. Okay, so one thing to remember, okay, is that you're still going to have residual material that's going to be in this pump cylinder. So have absorbent pads, have gloves on, rags, some solvent cleaner, whatever you clean your parts with. Have a bucket handy because, there is going to be some residual material in here, but that's how let's just, we'll remove the nuts from here and then we'll put the pump onto the bench and do the rest of the disassembly. Okay, we're going to remove the pump base from the main part of the pump. Okay, this is where your mallet comes in handy, and keep in mind that there's going to be residual material that's going to come out of this cylinder. So make sure, like I said, you have absorbent pads or a bucket or something. So you're gonna have the pump and you're gonna bang and you're gonna tap that and the end of the pump base. Okay, it's gonna slide off like so. And this is when the material is going to be coming out of here. All right, your crossover tube will probably come off along with the pump base. All right, we've removed the pump base. Now we're going to remove the rest of we're going to take the flange off of the outlet block. Okay, so we're going to slide that off now, like so. Take the cylinder off. And we're going to we can flip the pump over and just tap to remove the piston. Okay, I'm going to show how to remove the packings from the piston. Keep in mind that this is a two-piece piston assembly. We have the shaft and we have the piston head, which holds the seal and the bushing in place. First thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this snap ring, okay, and we're going to use our snap ring pliers. Okay, we remove the snap ring. Now there's a pin that's inside of here that holds the head onto the piston shaft. We're now going to take that piston assembly, and we're going to bring it over to the protective vise, and we're going to go through the process to remove that pin to take the head off and take the packings off. Okay, so now I'm going to use a punch, okay, and this is a 1/8 inch punch that I'm now going to put into here, and I'm going to knock the pin through the other side. So use a hammer. Sometimes the piston will take a little bit of oomph, but if you have to, you could put this, you could set this right onto the bench. Tighten that back up. That popped out. Okay? I can feel with my finger on the bottom side. The pin's coming out. Okay, and here's the pin. Okay, we're going to take the piston assembly, put it into the vise. At the end of the piston, we have flats that are on here. Okay, sometimes the jaw protectors, if they're rubber style, molded rubber style, may not work effectively to do this. But if you put it onto the flat of the piston, okay, you tighten it up, and you should be fine. So again, this been in the pump a while, so what you might have to do is you might have to put a little bit of heat to this, but 9 times out of 10 you won't have to. Now, one thing to remember is that always remember to take that pin out that we just knocked out. Okay, you're sitting here trying to remove this and realize you never took the pin out. So now we're gonna get I have a 15-inch adjustable wrench here. Okay, you might have to give this just a little bit of a whack to get this thing to break loose, but it should come loose. Again, I've never not been able to move it. Okay, so now we're going to take the head off. Okay, so here's your packings and your bushing that's on the piston. Okay, this is what these two parts come in the pump rebuild kit. All right, we took the head off of the fluid piston. Now we're going to put the new parts on. Okay, we have the bushing. The bushing goes on first. Okay, you can put a little bit of grease on there, but and just bang it down. Okay, you have your seal. Okay, you want to make sure that the seal faces down. Okay, so that it's facing the pressure. Okay, that seal should always be facing the pressure. Okay, that'll go on like so. Okay, then we take a little bit of red Loctite. And we put a little bit of red Loctite on the threads. And then we take that fluid head, the piston head, and we screw it back into the main pump shaft. And as we do so, we want to make sure that when we go to put the pin back in, is that the holes from the piston head line up with the holes on the pump shaft to put that pin in. So I'm going to tighten this up. Okay, these are made in a set, so they're kind of made, they're made for each other, that they'll fit like so. Now, I like to get the punch that I used before, and I try to line it up and look through to see just how well that it might be lined up or not. So then we would take this piston out, and then we'll put the pin in. All right, we're going to be putting this pin back into the to lock in the fluid head for the piston. Right, so you're going to get your little hammer here, and you're going to knock that in. Okay, the one thing you got to make sure of and be careful of, so when you're putting this pin in, right, you have a hammer here. You also have the edge of the seal. Okay, the one thing you don't want to do is to be banging on this and then damaging the edge of that seal while you're doing it. So you can get it to a certain point, and then you can come in, and then you bang it the rest of the way with your now sometimes you might have to put this into the vise. Okay, Sometimes what you can do is, as well, is you can get a larger punch and also put the larger punch head on it to get that pin to come down. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to get a larger punch real quick. Okay, and I'm going to put that on there. Making sure that you do not damage that seal. And get your other smaller punch and finish it through. Okay, that's the reinstall of the pin. All right, we're going to put the lock ring back on. Okay, the ring has got a flat side and it's got a little bit of a rounded side. You want the flat side to go down. Okay, so I'm going to put my pliers on, my ring in there. Okay, we gotta maybe mess with it a little bit to get it to seat right. Okay, so what you can do is you can just get your pliers and just seat it like that. Okay, so that ring is seated. We're going to be showing you here now how to remove that triple lip seal. Okay, so that seal is the throat seal. Okay, it keeps material from seeping or weeping out from where the pump shaft comes out of the pump. So what I like to do is, although you're going to be replacing it, I always just like to use something soft, like I said, the end of a brass brush or whatever, a piece of wood dowel, and I'll just tap that. Again, you don't want to be going in the other side of this with a pick tool to take that out, because if you scratch this, you're going to have a leak. So I just tap it around the corners, okay, and the seal would drop out. The seal and the bushing that's on the other side. Okay, so we're going to go over next. We're going to show how to reinstall the triple lip seal. I'm going to show how to remove. We need this flange in order to properly seat this triple lip seal. So I'm going to remove the pump standoffs. You have a gasket that's on here. We will replace that gasket as well. So we remove those standoffs. We're going to toss this gasket, and here's the flange that we're going to use to reinstall this lip seal. Okay, we're going to go over the process to reinstall this triple lip seal back into the outlet block. Okay, you can see if I go to try to put this in by hand, you can't thumb this piece in. So we have a process to do it correctly. Okay, so we're going to take this block. We're going to take the flange block that we just took the standoffs of. Okay, we have the O-ring part of that flange. That's the part that went against the pump lube cylinder when we took the pump off, okay? We're going to take that flange and put that O-ring part down. Take this tool that is used to do this with, only for the ISO side. The B side, you don't need this tool. You have the different flange, which is in the instruction manual. Okay, so for the ISO, you're going to put this tool on like so. Okay, you're going to take your triple lip seal, Set it on top with the seal facing up. All right. We're now going to take the outlet block. You have the O-ring part is going to be in the up position. Right. So we're going to put it down. We're going to put it onto the seal like so. So that seal is facing the pressure. We're going to set it down like so. We have these two socket head bolts that come with the kit. Okay. They come with the rebuild kit. We're going to put one into one corner and one into the other corner. And we're going to get a 5/16 Allen wrench, which does not come with the kit. And we're now going to tighten these parts to seat that seal. Okay, a little bit on one, a little bit on the other. You don't necessarily have to put this in the vise, so tightens down pretty good. Okay, now we're going to back it out. You can use a socket, you can use a socket wrench too for this. So. Okay, so now we have that seal is now in the block, and now I can thumb it and just seat it in there like so. Okay, and then we'll put the bushing in it and reassemble it back on the pump. Okay, we're gonna reinstall the bushing, the gasket, the flange, and we're gonna put the standoffs onto the pump outlet body. Okay, you see where we had already installed the triple lip seal. Okay, so we're gonna flip that over. Gonna take the bushing. We're gonna put the bushing in here. Okay, and that goes. That really only fits in one way. If you put it in wrong, it's not going to fit right. So you that over, you put your gasket on. Okay, we're going to take our flange. You can see the flange, that the part that does not have the O-ring, okay, goes down. Okay, this is the part. This part here is what goes up against the pump loop cylinder. Okay, so we're going to turn it like that. We're going to turn it up, and we're going to take our flange, or we're going to take our standoffs, and we're gonna thread them in to where the end of that standoff goes flush with the edge of the pump flange. You don't want to have that end sticking out anything more than that. Okay, so we're going to reinstall the discharge seat that goes into the sleeve. Okay, we're just going to put it into the vise like so. Like I said, you want vise protectors with this thing. And get in there nice and snug. Okay, there's no Loctite on here or anything, so we're just going to put some grease, right? You have a new seal on there, right? So we're going to put it in there with this tool. And this part gets torqued to 30 foot-pounds. If you don't have a torque wrench, but you want to get a wrench. You want to tighten it down pretty darn good. Okay. Okay, nice and snug. Okay, then we're going to put the seal gasket up on top, and now we're ready to put this back into the pump base. Okay, we're going to be reinstalling the parts that go into the pump base. First off, we've now reused that seal that's on the bottom, okay, that I had spoken about before. We did not remove that one. Okay, so now we have our seat, we have our inlet seat, which we're just putting grease on it that doesn't get Loctite. Okay, and I'm using that tool again. Okay, so I'm carefully set that down. Make sure it seats right. Okay, you don't want to cross thread that. Okay, I'm going to get that nice and snug, finger snug. Then you get your wrench. Okay, and this is going to get 110 foot-pounds. Okay, so for you to have a torque wrench, 110 foot-pounds. For you that don't, okay, you're gonna get this as tight as you can. Okay, but you know, preferably have a torque wrench. Now, I'm just doing it without a torque wrench because I'm taking it that majority of folks that would be doing this, say, in a rig or in the shop, may or may not have a torque wrench. So, okay, so I'm going to take that out. I'm now going to put the 1-inch ball seat back in with my magnet. I don't want to be slam dropping that thing down there. Okay, so we got that seated. Now I'm going to put the spring and the sleeve in. The key to this is that when you put this back in, using this J-hook tool that we used before, you're going to want to grab that spring like so. Okay, you're gonna grab the spring and then drop the sleeve in. Because if you don't grab that spring, what could happen is that it could get jammed on the inside of the sleeve and the sleeve won't be seating right. Okay, so you drop that in. Okay, and that seal will seat itself, as we'll show later. But you want to make sure you got a good spring in there. Okay. We'll use our magnet, and I'll just kind of sheet that seal in there. Okay. We're going to get our small discharge ball check again. We're going to drop that in. Okay, and then we have our top nut. I've replaced the O-ring seal that's on the underside of that nut. Okay, so that's going to go inside like so. I'm going to push down on that a bit. Okay, I'm going to need my larger 18-inch to get that, or 1 7/8 inches. Want to make sure that this is seated in here correctly. You don't want to cross thread it. You can do this by hand. Now make sure you have that gasket seal underneath that nut or it will leak. Hey, want to get that nice and snug, and this is going to get 40 foot-pounds. You have a torque wrench, 40 foot-pounds. And all that torque documentation is in the instruction manual for the pump rebuild. Okay? So there's my pump base rebuild. In this sequence, I'm going to put, I'll be doing a pre-sub-assembly to the pump. Right, I'm going to get my crossover tube, which I've replaced the O-rings on both ends, which are in the kit. Okay, I'm going to grease that up. I'm going to stick that in there like so. Okay, I'm going to do the other end as well. Okay, just put some grease on it. Okay, I'm now going to get my cylinder. Make sure that I have my new O-ring is in here. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of grease on that too. Okay, I'm going to get my cylinder. I'm going to check the cylinder, make sure it's not damaged in any way, shape, or form, which I which I meant to mention with the piston shaft too. You want to make sure that there's no gouges or anything in the shaft. I'm going to set my cylinder on the pump base block like so. Going to get some grease, and I'm going to put some grease on to the piston head. Okay, you can put some inside of here as well. I put this plastic bullet piece over top of the clevis that's on the end of the pump shaft. This comes with the kit as well. Okay, and I'm going to put this shaft in there like so. And if I got to tap it a little bit with a mallet, then I can. Sometimes I can just do it by hand, and it'll go right in. Okay, that's the reassemble of the piston and the cylinder onto the pump base. All right, we're gonna reassemble. We're gonna finish reassembling the pump. So I have this bullet piece that's on there, this protective piece that, it helps to protect the triple lip seal. Okay, that we're going in. So I'm now going to take the block assembly, or the outlet block assembly with the retainer flange that I had put the standoffs on before. I'm going to put it down onto the block like so. Okay, so now I'm going to seat. I have the piston is now going to trying to go past that triple lip seal, and that's where my mallet comes in, okay? And that's where that bullet helps to protect the pump. Okay, I'm going to be banging that down like so. Make sure everything's on there. Double check, make sure that my crossover tube is going on correctly. Okay, I have my flange seated, okay? So I'm just going to flip the pump like so, okay? You can put it up against a bench or something, okay? And now it's going to get put the flanges and everything are going to go together, okay? I want to make sure is that my crossover tube gets seated. Okay, now I'm going to get the washers and the nuts for the end of the pump. All right, there's no Loctite or anything on these either, okay? And we're going to put these nuts on. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish tightening up the pump block into the main part of the pump. So what we're going to do is just going to use a 9/16. There's no torque spec for this. Okay, I'm going to get a nice tight on that. So I'm going to go catty corner. All right, this is wood. Tighten up anything like this. And I do not like you using impact wrenches or drills or anything. Go with the socket, ratchet. And I get them nice and snug. Don't want to over tighten them, but you don't want it to leak. Okay, we're good. You get your 1/4-inch Allen wrench will go through here, and you can just turn it and pull the pump shaft out. Okay, so when we go to put it back onto the machine, the clevis part of the piston shaft is out far enough to connect with the pin that we need to reinstall. Okay, so we're putting the pump back on. Okay, and I have this pin pretty much lined up with the clevises again, okay, and it popped right in. Okay, doesn't always do that. You might have to put something in there like a small Allen to help to line up the clevis holes or like that. I'm going to take this off. Okay, I'm sliding this back on. Okay, and now I'm going to start to tighten up my my mounting bolt. All right, we're going to finish up tightening up the bolts. Okay, these do not get torqued. Okay, gonna have those tight. Now I'm gonna put the plug back into the pump lube cylinder. I'm gonna get the pump lube line that I had taken off to drain the pump lube fitting. There's the L. Get that fitting on there and tighten it. Now I'm going to get my discharge line going from my pump outlet to my heater. We'll reinstall that and tighten that up. Okay, put a 11/16 and okay, we're going to reinstall the inlet monitoring assembly to the bottom of the pump. And there you have it. You have a pump disassembly, rebuild, and reassembly onto a classic pump. Okay, so that was the removal and rebuild of our classic pump, a size 120 pump on our PMC Classic machine. For further resources, please visit our website, and thanks for watching.